भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवा भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om, O Vedic gods, may we hear auspicious words with our ears. While engaged in sacrifices, may we see auspicious things with our eyes. While praising the gods with steady limbs, may we enjoy a life that is beneficial to the gods. May Indra of ancient fame be auspicious to us. May the all-knowing Pusha, god of the earth, be propitious to us. May Garuda, the destroyer of evil, be well disposed towards us. May Brihaspati ensure our welfare. Om, peace, peace, peace. So we have, while studying the Mundaka Upanishad, completed the first section, or first of 6 sections. Actually, the Upanishad is traditionally divided into 3 chapters, each with 2 sections. The sections are called Mundakas also. So we have completed the first section of the first chapter and now the first Mundaka. What did we see there? All right, before I summarize, it's a good time to take stock before we go ahead. Let me chant it. Not that we have to chant it, but I like doing it, so I'll do it. Om Brahma Devanam Prathamah Sambhabhuva Vishwasya Karta Bhuvanasya Gopta Sa Brahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham Atharvaya Jeshtaputraya Praha Atharvaneyam Pravadeta Brahma Atharvatam Purovachangire Brahma Vidyam Sabharadvajaya Satyavahaya Praha Bharadvajo Angirase Paravaram Shaunako Havai Mahashalo Angirasam Vidhivadupasanna Papracha Kasminnu Bhagavo Vigyate Sarvamidam Vigyatam Bhavatiti Tasmai Sahovacha Dve Vido Vadanti Parachaiva Paracha Tatra Pararigveda Yajurveda Samavedo Atharvaveda Shiksha Kalpo Vyakaranam Niruktam Chando Jyotishamiti Ataparayaya Tadaksharamadigamyate Yaptadadrishyamagrahyamagotramavarnam Achakshushrotram Tadapanipādam Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam Susukshmam Tadavyayam Yadbhutayonim Paripashyanti Dhiraha Yathornanabhi Srijate Grinhate Cha Yatha Prithivyam Sambhavanti Yatha Satah Purushat Keshalomani तथा क्षरात् संभवति हविश्वम् तपसा चीयते ब्रह्म ततोऽन्नम् अभिजायते अन्नात् प्राणो मनः सत्यम् लोकाकर्मसु चामृतम् य सर्वज्ञ सर्वविद् यस्य ज्ञानमयं तपः तस्मादेतद् ब्रह्म नाम रूपमन्नं च जायते. So 9 mantras. And what did we see in that? This is the knowledge of Brahman, most ancient, handed down from ancient times from guru to disciple. Now the disciple comes, Shaunaka, and asks the question to the guru, Angiras. And the question is, sir, what is that by knowing which everything is known? So behind this question is a particular understanding of causality, that a cause becomes the effects. So from one lump of clay, you can have a variety of pots. From one, from the same gold, you can make a variety of ornaments and so on. Now, if you know the cause means the material cause, the material out of which effects are produced, then you know the effect also. If you know the clay, then you know all the pots. If you know the gold, you know all the ornaments. In what sense? we know what they truly are. If we know that the pots are all made of clay, then we know, if we know clay, we understand what the pots all truly are. As I mentioned earlier, of course, we wouldn't know the differences in names and forms and activities. That comes later. But the fundamental reality of everything is known if we know the cause. So that's what he's asking. Just as we know if the cause, we know all the effects. From the same cause, a variety of effects may be produced. The effects come and go. The effects are names and forms and functions, but the one cause underneath it is constant, and that's the reality all the time. Now, is there something for the whole universe? And we can talk about pots and clay and gold and ornaments, but for the whole universe, for everything in the universe, is there like that one cause of everything? And what is that? And how can we know that? So that's the question. The teacher tells him knowledge is of two kinds, knowledge of the cause and knowledge of the effects. So knowledge of the ultimate cause, that there is an ultimate cause, which is he's going to reveal as Akshara, the imperishable Brahman, and so on. That ultimate cause, there's a knowledge which reveals that. And there's a knowledge about the effects. What are the effects? The entire universe. There's knowledge regarding the entire universe, scientific knowledge, humanities, and religion, and all of that. All of that is the lower knowledge, and the knowledge which reveals, which shows you, gives you the answer to your question. What is that by knowing which everything is known? That is the higher knowledge. So knowledge is of two kinds, higher knowledge and the lower knowledge. The knowledge of what you have asked for, the cause of the entire universe, and the knowledge of the effects, the varieties in this universe. And then he gives a list of what is lower knowledge, apara vidya, and then indicates what is higher knowledge. The lower knowledge is everything that one can know. And here it is indicated because of the Vedic context. So in the Vedic context, all that was, all the Vedic corpus, the 4 Vedas and associated disciplines like grammar and, the prosody and this science of how to use these Vedic mantras in rituals, astrology, and so on. All of these are associated disciplines, science of pronunciation. All of these are associated disciplines, the 6 associated disciplines and the 4 Vedas. All of them are lower knowledge. They're all lower knowledge. Then what is higher knowledge? The knowledge that reveals the imperishable, what you asked, the cause of this entire universe, the one thing by knowing which everything becomes known. Here, a little qualification. So if all the Vedas are lower knowledge, in that case, the Upanishads, what we are studying now, is included in the Vedas. It's a part of the Vedas. So would that be lower knowledge also? Now, there are 2 answers to this. One, the usual answer is that these Upanishads are not meant here. By lower knowledge is meant the ritualistic portion of the Vedas. The Vedas have 2 portions, the knowledge portion and the ritualistic portion. So the ritualistic portion, which is the vast bulk of the Vedas, that is lower knowledge. And these Upanishads are excluded. They are not lower knowledge, they are higher knowledge. Or there is a more subtle explanation, because the Rishi said the knowledge by which the highest reality is revealed, which is Akshara, the imperishable, that's higher knowledge. Now, what is that knowledge? It could be enlightenment itself, not the book, the Upanishad, not the text, the enlightenment that these texts lead to. So this book would be still part of the lower knowledge, but enlightenment itself, Brahma Jnana, that would be the higher knowledge. So that's another interpretation. All right. And then what is this imperishable, which is the cause of the entire universe? So here he gives an answer. We get a very powerful mantra, and the 6th mantra. First of all, the neti neti approach, not this, not this. That which is not an object of any of the senses. You can't see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, or touch it. Agrahyam, it's not an object of any of our organs of action. You can't catch hold of it, or by extension, the various instruments that science has developed, whether which extend the power of our senses or which extend the powers of our action, none of them can objectify it. Then it has no source of its own. no features of its own. It is nirguna. It also does not function through sense organs and so on and so forth. Doesn't have hands and feet and so on. Not this, not this. And at the same time, also the positive description. It is eternal. It is all pervasive. It alone becomes this entire universe. It's the cause of the universe. So in one mantra, the sixth mantra, what we in Vedanta call Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman. Brahman is the absolute reality, which is existence, consciousness, bliss. And Brahman is the God of this universe, the God of religion, the creator of this universe. Both are indicated in the sixth mantra. So showing hereby, they're not two different things. It is the same absolute reality, existence, consciousness, bliss, with the power of Maya, which is experienced as God in our religious life. And then gives the famous mantra with examples. How does that one produce the many? How does Brahman produce this world? The cause produce the effects. So it gives the example as a spider produces and retracts a web, as the earth, from the earth, herbs and shrubs are produced. And then as from a living human body, hair, nails, they emerge and so on. So from the imperishable, the universe of effects, this varied universe emerges. And then what else? It talks about the stages of creation. So there are stages. Brahman, and then it is as if Brahman swells when the power of Maya is ready to create this universe. And then there's a subtle creation. Subtle elements, the mind, cosmic mind is produced. And then there's the gross or physical creation. And this entire universe, physical universe, which we are aware of, including these physical bodies are produced. So that was what we had done so far. Now, what remains? I have to go into detail into this. The two divisions which the teacher made, the higher knowledge and the lower knowledge, Paravidya and Aparavidya, are going to be examined for the rest of the Upanishad. The lower knowledge, Aparavidya, will be quickly dealt with in the present section, which we are going to start now. And then the rest of it will be about the higher knowledge. What is this lower knowledge you're going to deal with, and why are we going to deal with it? It's because this talk which is going on of the one being from which the entire world emerges, and the knowledge of that Brahman, that you are that Brahman, all this is news to Shaunaka. Because as was indicated, he's a pious man, and he's a man of his times, he's religious. So he's used to the religion of his times. And the ancient Hindu religion was a religion of Vedic ritualism, at the centerpiece of which was the Vedic fire sacrifice, yaga or yajna. And what did you do there? You would, under very precise instructions, the performers of these sacrifices, they would light a fire and they would offer oblations into it to the accompaniment of specific mantras. And the goal of this ritual would be to, there would be twofold goals actually. One is the attainment of worldly and otherworldly desires. So worldly desires, like as people want, let there be rainfall. You can imagine what people would have wanted 3,000 or 4,000 years ago on the plains of India. So let there be rainfall, let the crops be bountiful, let our enemies be defeated, let our children and our families be safe, let our cattle be safe, let us expand our families and possessions, so on. What else? They would also pray for, they would want a pleasant life in the hereafter. As long as we are alive in this world, let us be protected from harm, let us become more prosperous and bountiful, and after death, let us go to heaven. What is heaven? You have a pleasant life here, and heaven is a continuation of this pleasant life in the hereafter. That in heaven, all our desires are fulfilled immediately, and there is no apparent aging. The usual worldly sorrows are not there. You get a variety of heavens, not just one heaven. There are actually 7 heavens which are mentioned. I mean, this world and then 6 higher worlds. So one could hope to attain to those. And the Vedic rituals promised that if you perform these rituals properly, then you would get a pleasant life here. and you'd go to heaven after death. This was one purpose of the Vedic rituals. There was a second purpose, a higher purpose and a less known purpose, which is the same rituals. If you do it without any worldly or otherworldly desires, in that case, they would purify your mind. They would, develop your powers of concentration. They would cleanse the mind of past conditioning, and you'd be a fit student for Vedanta. So to create the conditions for Vedanta, Vedic ritualism is helpful if it is done without desire, worldly or otherworldly desire. So this is the dual purpose of Vedic rituals, depending on what we want. What do we want? So mostly people want pleasure and success, wealth, and the twofold aim of Artha and Kama. Kama is pleasures and Artha is success and welfare. How do you get that? Dharma. Dharma is a word which has many, many meanings, but is a technical meaning in the Vedic sense. It is the performance of these Vedic rituals and the merit that you gain from these Vedic rituals. And these Vedic rituals would generate merit, and the merit would be translated into fulfilling your worldly desires. If you generate a lot of merit through the proper Vedic rituals, then whatever you could want in this world, you will get easily. And after death, you go to get to go to heaven. After going to heaven, and then everything is temporary. This world is temporary. Heavens are also temporary. So you'll come down from heaven back to this world, but again you'll be put in good conditions, maybe a wealthy, prosperous, good family, and you enjoy good health, a long lifespan. All of these things which people want in the worldly sense, you will get all of these. So this is dharma in the technical sense, which gives you the performance of Vedic rituals with a goal of getting Artha and Kama here, welfare, prosperity, all the pleasures that you could want, and an intensified life of pleasure and pleasant life in the hereafter in heaven. And beyond these, what we want is moksha, liberation, a spiritual quest. So here is a point. What this section, which you're going to start now, it might be a little difficult to relate to, because it talks about in the Vedic context. So Vedic fire sacrifices, which we don't perform really these days. In Hinduism, nothing dies out. So they are still there. Vedic fire sacrifices are there in an attenuated, smaller form. Those who have seen it being performed, you can relate to it a little bit. Why it is difficult to relate to is because in modern Hinduism, we have moved over to a different kind of ritual, which is called a puja. So what you see in temples and Hindu houses, and what people do, or I do in our ashrams, what I have personally done, this is a puja, which is another set of rituals, but of a later origin. And you can clearly see Vedic elements in the puja. If you do a puja, you can see in some of the mantras and some of the rituals, it comes from a Vedic element. There are tantric elements also in that, and so on. What else do I need to say? All right. So the distinction between conventional religion and higher religion, this I've spoken about earlier. The importance of this chapter is it shows us the distinction between conventional religion and higher religion. This one must take note of before proceeding. So we come to an ashram, we are attending a talk by a Swami. So what are we doing? We're being religious, but actually religious in a very different sense than what is understood in the mass sense. See, there is a religion of the masses. In every religion, it's there. So the hundreds of thousands, millions of people who line up before the great ancient temples of India. If you ask them, are you here for enlightenment, to know the one thing by which everything is known? They'll say, no, absolutely not. We have no interest in such things. But then why are you here? We are here because I want to heal my sick child. I want to, be wealthy, or, or just to get the blessings of God for a good family, for a family life, a prosperous career, and I guess heaven after death. So it is a very worldly desire and otherworldly desire, but not spiritual desire, which motivates the masses. And that's true, whether it is ancient Hindu temples. I've seen this in Buddhist, not monasteries, Buddhist temples, Chinese Buddhist temples I've seen, where people go there, they say a prayer, light a joss stick, incense sticks, and pray there. They pray for the welfare of their ancestors. We'll see a link with that very soon. Pray for the welfare of their ancestors, welfare of their business and their own families. So this is conventional religion, mass religion. How is this different from the higher religion or spirituality? See, the higher religion is for liberation, moksha. And this conventional religion is dharma, artha, kama, for good life in this world and for going to heaven. And then after that, and then again come back to a good life in the next, again in this world, and so on. It is still samsara. It's a good way of living in samsara, sort of sustainable, eco-friendly way of living in samsara, as we would say today. But it still doesn't solve the problem of samsara. You're still stuck here and still exposed to the terrible uncertainties and dangers of samsara. There's no freedom here. That's the lower religion. I put it in this way. God for my life is lower religion or conventional religion. We have conveniences which makes our present life better. I'm not going to let go of my present life. This life is what I want, but I have some problems here. Maybe I could be healthier, I could be wealthier, people could be nicer to me, I could have a better place to stay, I could have better gadgets and cars. All of these things make my present life better. And God is also one more thing which promises to make my present life better. That's conventional religion. And the higher religion is my life for God. See, conventional religion is God for my life. My life will continue. God helps me with my life, makes it better. But higher religion is my life for God. The whole purpose of my life becomes God realization. The whole purpose of my life becomes nirvana, moksha. That's the goal I'm looking for. Not to decorate and enhance my present worldly existence. So lower religion, dharma, artha, kama. The higher religion or spirituality, moksha. And here also we will see paravidya and aparavidya. Paravidya is the higher religion, spirituality, which leads you to moksha, nirvana, God realization, freedom. Aparavidya is the lower religion, or I don't like saying lower religion, conventional religion, which leads to welfare in this world and the next world. And this present section will show us the lower religion, or again, I'm saying lower religion, conventional religion, and in the Vedic context. So what it was in the Vedic times. And then it will show us the limitations of this conventional religion, what it can't do for you, examines it, and then discards it and encourages us, the Upanishad, the teacher encourages us to move to spirituality, not be satisfied with lower religion. However, when it criticizes the conventional religion, at no point does it say that it is false. This is the difference between modern people in this day and age who criticize religion. They'll say the whole thing is false. It's all superstition, rituals, God, heaven, and all of that. And and of course, they'll dismiss spirituality also as superstition. But if you see what the Upanishad does is, it does not say that those things are false, that the Vedic rituals and the goals they promise, the results they promise, it says they're all true, satyam, they're all true. But they will not solve your problem of samsara. They will not answer your question of what is that one thing by knowing which everything is known. It will not take you beyond sorrow. It will not give you fulfillment. It will say, these are frail rafts. You cannot cross the ocean of samsara based on Vedic ritualism or any kind of ritualistic religion. So they criticize in that sense, and they will show. In fact, Shankaracharya will say, why are we going to talk about Vedic ritualism at all? That was not the question. So since that is the bulk of religion, even the Vedas, the bulk of the Vedas are this ritualistic kind of religion. You have to examine it, Shankaracharya says. Then nirvedam, that is dispassion, vairagya, you dismiss it from your life. That's not a goal I'm going to pursue anymore. I want nothing less than enlightenment, God realization, moksha, nirvana. That will become firm. All right. As I said, bulk of the Vedas themselves are divided into two parts. the knowledge portion and the ritualistic portion, Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda. The ritualistic portion itself is divided into two parts, the karma portion and the upasana portion. Karma is rituals, which you actually physically or verbally do. You actually pour oblations into the kindled fire, accompanied by chanting of the associated mantras. That's the ritual, physical ritual. You do it physically and verbally. And there is the mental part of it, which is called upasana or worship, which consists of various kinds of meditation on these deities who are supposed to give us the results. So that you sit quietly and visualize it. They are all rituals. They're all rituals. Even that those meditations are not part of Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahman. So that's knowledge. The knowledge is distinguished clearly from ritual and meditation in this in the Vedic structure. So work, meditation, knowledge, karma, upasana, jnana. Work and meditation are put under one head, the ritualistic portion, and the knowledge portion is put under another head. That is the knowledge portion or Jnana Kanda. These Upanishads are knowledge portion. That's why when we are going to talk about the ritualistic portion now, they're not going to teach us ritualism. They're just going to give us a sketch of what these rituals are, what they do for you, and then what they cannot do for you, and why you should discard them and go ahead. All right, with that introduction, we jump into the second section of the first chapter. Mantra 1. Tadetat satyam mantreshu karmani kavayo yanya pashyan stani tretayam bahuda santatani tanyacharatha niyatam satyakama eshavav pantha sukritasya loke. What does this mean? These rituals are true. Tadetat satyam. What you have read in the earlier parts of the Vedas, they are true. Remember, Shaunaka is somebody who has religiously performed those rituals. So he's not undercutting Shaunaka's faith. He's saying those things we have done are true. Tadetat satyam. The karmas that the wise, the rishis have discovered in the mantras, they're accomplished very variously in the context of the sacrifices, which are found in the three Vedic, three Vedas, the three Vedic portions. You perform them, you go ahead and perform them, and you will get the results. Perform them as directed. You will get those results, and those results are true. He says they will get the true results. This is the path of action or karma, which will lead to the fruits of karma. Definitely, you will get the results of those karmas. So, mantreshu karmani kavayo yanya pashyan. The rishis, kavaya means the wise ones, the rishis, they have experienced this. So the Hindus believe that the entire Vedic knowledge was eternally coexistent with God, and the rishis, through their spiritual practices, they discovered these truths. Vivekananda says that by Vedas, no texts are meant, and what it means is eternally existing spiritual truths, and in different civilizations at different times, great seers have discovered some portion of the spiritual truths, and they have become the scriptures of humanity. So in that sense, rishis were, in fact, the definition of a rishi, a sage, is rishaya mantra drashtara. Those who see the mantras, they actually saw, they had experience of these things, and then they put it down into language. Now here, I have to be careful. A traditional Pandit would say, they actually saw it in that language. The language of the Vedas, Vedic Sanskrit, it is in that language. It's the language of the gods. It's not that they realized something and then they made up poems and verses. Anyway, whichever way you would like to take it. So they saw these truths and they put it down in these mantras. What did they see? Karmani, the karmas, the Vedic rituals which you all perform, and the Vedic people, they perform. Tani tretayam bahuda santatani. So in the Tretayam, the word here literally means in the three. Now it might mean in the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and the Sama Veda, excluding the Atharva here, which does not have so much of rituals. So you have, what he's saying is, in those three Vedas, you find profusely descriptions of many, many rituals. And these were seen by the wise sages in ancient times, and they have put it down in the form of these mantras. So, Tanyacharatha niyatam. Please perform these rituals. as directed. Now, here is a point to be noted. Because we are going to criticize conventional religion, note that Vedic religion never looked down upon conventional religion. It depends on what you want. In dharma, artha, kama, moksha, if you want worldly goals and other worldly goals, you want to be happy in this world and go to the next world and be happy there, then there's a wise way of doing these things. That is to be a pious person and perform these rituals as directed. So it's not a sin. It's not terrible to want money and children and lots of cattle and kingdoms and things like that. What worldly people in ancient times they wanted or they want today. It's not a sin to queue up for what Black Friday and purchase gifts. Now you can do it online. I saw this online suggestions for improving, like as if you're training for some athletic event on that day, how you can order maximum amount and get the best deals. It's not a sin. What you want, if you really want it, do it. What is a sin? Would be seen as bad in the Vedic religion. If worldly things are not bad, what would be seen as bad is overstepping the bounds of morality in pursuit of our worldly goals. So I want to be rich, and there's a way of being rich. You earn the money in a legal way, pay your taxes, pray to God to bless you in your worldly endeavors, that your business be a success. That's a big thing. You see, a lot of businessmen are very religious, not for enlightenment, for the bottom line, for profits. And that's good. The Vedic religion says it's perfectly all right. You can be rich. You can do it in a ethical manner. But if they want to cheat and lie and bribe their way to wealth, that would be condemned as sinful by the Vedic religion. In fact, by every religion. So the worldly goals themselves are not bad. What will be criticized a little later is that they don't solve any problem. At the end of the day, even when they give the results, even when you are well off, you're healthy, all of it is only for a time being. And all of it will go away one day. And none of it really protects you against the vagaries of life. Terrible, terrible shocks are there, which are generated by our own past karma. So if we all want security, we all want lasting peace and fulfillment, this kind of even religion, conventional religion, can't give that to you. It's a wiser, better, more ethical way of living, but still, you're open to it's still samsara. Vivekananda said, "Thine only is the hand that holds the rope that drags thee on. Chains, though of gold, are not less strong to bind." So chains of iron, which is bad karma, mischief, sin done in past lives. Chains of gold are good karma, which will keep giving results, but you're trapped. Money can trap you, family can trap you, success can trap you. Even heaven can trap you. The quest for heaven can trap you. The chains, though of gold, are not less strong to bind. Then off with them, sannyasi bold, say Om Tat Sat Om. This was Vivekananda. That is the criticism of conventional religion. What else does he say here? Niyatam Satyakama. Here the word Satyakama, usually you will immediately think, Indian especially think it's a name, Satyakama. You find it in the Upanishads. That's not what is meant here. Satyakama means, Satya is Satya means truth. These are real results. And we will get real results by these rituals. The Upanishad, even about to criticize ritualism, is assuring us, you will get the results if you do that. Kama here refers to people who want these results. Kama literally means desires, but here it refers to the people. If you are seeking these things, the real, pretty real results, tangible results, worldly results, and other worldly results, you will get them. But niyatam means according to the rules. So these Vedic rituals, in fact, all rituals, there's a way of doing them and the way of not doing them. It is understood in Hinduism is that if you do rituals, Vedic rituals and even pujas today, if you do them with a worldly goal in mind or otherworldly goal in mind, you better do them well. You do them precisely and carefully. Properly done, they will give rise to results. Improperly done, they won't give rise to results. It's a wasted effort and sometimes harmful. So you are warned again and again that be careful about employing these results. And one might think it's superstitious, but I have seen it happen. Mostly giving good results, but sometimes devastating. quite unexplained misfortunes descending if it's not done well. There are stories of sometimes the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. I think it was Kali Maharaj, probably Abhedananda or someone, who I forget. So when he wanted to become a monk, he came to Sri Ramakrishna, and then his elder brother, his father, they were disputed. They didn't want him to become a monk. And finally, they engaged a whole set of Brahmins who performed a ritual which would, harm Sri Ramakrishna and bring back the boy to their family. So it's a very worldly kind of desire. Now, Sri Ramakrishna somehow knew about this and told the boy that go back and tell your family not to do this because it will harm them. You have taken refuge under the Divine Mother of Kali herself. These are all her powers. So tell them not to do it. Otherwise, it will rebound on them. Like this. Eshava pantha sukritasya loke. This is your path. Pantha means path. This is your path to the world gained by good karma. Sukrita, well, literally it means well done. So these rituals that have been performed, they give rise to a lot of punya or merit. And with that merit, you have a wonderful life here. You go to heaven after death, come back to in a more favorable circumstances. So this is your path. This is your path. And all good so far. Then he describes poetic, the Vedic ritual, the flames of the sacrificial fire. Second mantra. Yada lelayate harchi samidhe havyavahane tadajya bhagavantarena ahuti pratipadayet. When the fire being set ablaze, the flames shoot up. One should offer the oblations into that part which is in between the right and the left. So those who have done Vedic rituals, I've done a little bit, you know exactly what they're referring to. The whole altar is divided into certain portions, the flames are lit, and then there are places where you have to pour the oblations with the ladle, with the accompaniment of mantras. When the fire is set ablaze, the flames shoot up. But English doesn't do justice to the poetry. They really loved their Vedic fires. Lelayate harchi, the shining flames, when they flicker and dance. Samidhe, it is well lit, well kindled fire. Havyavaha, fire, but the word fire doesn't do justice to the original Sanskrit word. It means the one who takes your offerings to the gods. So that's the meaning of this word. Havyavaha, the carrier of your oblations to the gods. And then this particular offering you put in this particular place between the two flames. Just a way of, most of these Vedic rituals, he would do it in this way. He's just indicating. When he points out, it's difficult because if you make mistakes, you will not get the results or there might be adverse consequences. The third mantra. It's difficult to follow it properly. So now you begin to see the beginnings of criticism here. Yasya agnihotra madarsham apaurnamasam achaturmasyam anagrayanam atiti vajjitam cha ahutam avaishwadevam avidhinahutam asaptamantasya lokan hinasti. The Agnihotra ritual destroys the 7 words of the man whose Agnihotra sacrifice is without the Darsha and Paurnamasha rites, devoid of Chaturmasya, bereft of Agrayana, unblessed with guests. It goes unperformed, is unaccompanied by the Vaishvadeva rite, and is performed perfunctorily. Now, if you don't do it well, what happens? You have lots of technical words here. The basic principle is this. Most of these big Vedic rituals, they had lots of subsidiary rituals, so I have to apply to go to a program in the UK. I have to apply for a UK visa. So that's the main ritual is to go, the result is going to the United Kingdom to attend the program. But for that, you need to perform this ritual of applying for the United Kingdom visa. And for that, there are multiple subsidiary rituals, like filling up of a particular form, applying with some kind of fees. Each one is a particular little ritual, and they have to be done. None of them will get you to the United Kingdom, but they all have to be done as part of the whole big ritual of applying for a visa. Similarly, you want to go to heaven. So it's called the Agnihotra. It was the most famous, most common and famous of the Vedic rituals. Even now there are Agnihotris. It's actually a title in India for Brahmins, some Brahmins. And there are actually people who still perform this. The devout Vedic ritualist was supposed to perform this, and a man was supposed to perform this, married man was supposed to perform this twice a day for all his life. And now, but they had many associated rituals, some of which were part of the original Agnihotri ritual, and some of which accompanied it. That means if you wanted to be an Agnihotri, a performer of this ritual, which will take you to heaven afterwards, you would also have to have associated disciplines which you observed. All of them together would make this work. And here is giving it in a negative sense. Suppose you don't do that, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do that. Well, none of this will work then. He says, the teacher says, he says that if you do it without the Darsha and Purnamasa rites, so these are rites, they're not really part of Agnihotra, but they're associated with Agnihotra. You're supposed to do them. And suppose you don't do them, you don't do these associated rites. It's like you're applying for the visa and you forget to sign it. Well, yeah, that part it's lost. Or of course, that's part of the application, but there's something that accompanies the application. Like, for example, the fees, you pay the fees. That's not part of the application, but it accompanies the application. So if you do the stuff, you do the ritual well, but you don't do the accompanying things well, it won't work. The Darsha and Purnamasa rites, if you don't do them, then there's another one called Chaturmasya. It's another rite. Those who don't know, it's fine, but those who know, they might get confused. Chaturmasya is a 4-month rainy season. Monks traditionally in India, they would wander from place to place and teach and beg for their food and stay in forests or villages or temples. But the rainy season, traditionally, Buddhist monks, Jain monks, Hindu monks, they would select a good place to stay for that season, because if you wander in that season, it's difficult to wander. You'll probably washed out by rains, and there are natural problems. So they would stay in one place and perform their meditation, study, and all in one place. Chaturmasya is a 4-month of retreat. It's a very ancient custom among monks. That is not what is referred to here. That's the point I'm making here. That because people have heard, usually today, almost nobody has heard of the Vedic ritual called Chaturmasya, but many people might have heard of the monastic practice of the rainy season retreat. This is not a monastic practice. This is very much something that was practiced by, it's a ritual practiced by Vedic householders. Suppose you don't do that. And then what else don't you do? The Agrayana, another ritual which you don't do. Atiti Varjitam, without guests. Without guests means one part of the ritual was always you would have to feed a guest, which meant someone other than your family. So someone who's not part of your family, but you have to take care of that person. That's part of the ritual. If you don't do it, then the ritual is incomplete. Ahutam, you don't offer the offerings at the right time or place. Then one more, another rite called the Vaishwadeva. Don't do that rite either. And you perform it just mechanically. So not all of these faults. You would have to be pretty, we work hard to to have all these faults. Even one of these faults sabotages your whole effort. And we understand this in our worldly endeavors. If you do stuff, you have to do it well. There's a saying that if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Now, what is the problem if you don't do it well? There's a very serious warning here. Asaptaman, tasya lokan hinasti. The 7 worlds are destroyed. Now, what 7 worlds are destroyed for this person who doesn't do it well, who does it but doesn't do it well, would be the 7 heavens. So they will not go to the heaven which they wanted. So none of those heavens are open, and they're all shut. But you don't get to go to the United Kingdom for the yoga festival. So if you don't do it well, what are the 7 heavens? Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, Maha, Jana, Tapa, and Satya. Each better than the earlier one. The Bhu is this one. So we are in a kind of a heaven, this world. Higher than this is the Bhuva, and then the Swar, which is called Swarga, which is actually literally heaven. But higher than the Swarga also is the Maha, the great, the Jana, the Tapa, and Satya. So these are higher and higher heavens. All the doors are firmly shut if you haven't done your Vedic homework properly. Or another meaning is this: the 7 worlds are lost means the 7 generations are lost. So when you make offerings, the Shraddha offerings to your ancestors, usually do it for 3 generations: parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. And you would also receive in turn these offerings after our own death. We'd receive it from children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. That's 6 generations, and you are the 7th. So that's 7 generations, 3 preceding you and 3 after you, and including you. All of them, their prosperity and their chances at going to heaven are blocked or obstructed if you make a mess of these rituals. That might be the meaning of losing 7 worlds. And the word we use for worlds is lokaha. This common word in Sanskrit for lokaha means a world, but it's very interesting. The root is look in Sanskrit, look, and one of the meanings is to look, the English look, L-O-O-K. So loka is a field of experience. This is a field of experience, and the heavens are different fields of experience. You'll have various kinds of experiences. The hells, there are 7 hells. They're also fields of experiences and nasty experiences. And they are all called lokaha. And one of the meanings is literally, in English, it's translated as look, L-O-O-K, look. And it's literally the same word in Sanskrit and English. So it's a dire warning. You better do the Vedic rituals well if you want those worldly and otherworldly results. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything. Then there is a description of a fire in which the Vedic rituals are going on. Poetic description of the fire. You'll see what I mean. 4th mantra. Kali karali cha manojavacha sulohitaya cha sudhumravarna spulingini vishwaruchi cha devi lelayamana iti saptajivha. These are literally the descriptions of the flames. They have a big fire going, and here's the poetic description. As I said, they loved their Vedic fire rituals. There's a description of the flames. The flames are called, the 7 names and the meanings I'll tell you. Kali Karali Manojava Sulohita Sudhumravarna Sphulingiri Vishwaruchi. These are the 7 tongues, the flaming tongues. Literally, what do they mean? These words, they mean Kali, the black flame, the terrible flame, speedy as the mind, the very red flame, colored like thick smoke, emitting sparks and having innumerable rays. So these are the different names of the flames. It's just describing the Vedic fire ritual going on. And when the number 5th mantra, not much to say here, it's like a poetic description of the flames. So what do you get out of it? The 5th mantra says, Eteshu yascharate bhrajamaneshu yatha kalam chahutayo yadadayan tam nayanteta suryasya rashmayo yatra devanam patireko adhivasaha. Poetic description. These oblations, the ones you put in the fire, turn into the rays of the sun and take him up, the dead one, the person who's died, for whom you have done these oblations, these rituals. They lead him, who performs the rites in these shining flames at the proper time, to where the single lord of the gods, that is Indra, presides over all. Basically goes to heaven. So this is a person who has been doing the rituals all his life. He goes to heaven. Or if it's done for his sake, it's a very poetic description. He rides on the rays of the sun up to heaven where the heaven is presided over by the one god of the one king of the gods, Indra, and so on. This will complete the section. I'll just read 6th mantra. Ehi ehiti tamahutaya suvachchasaha suryasya rashmibhir yajamanam vahanti priyam vacham abhivadanti vachayantya eshavah punya sukrito brahmaloka. So what happens there? What is this dying, the person who's dead, who's experiencing, encashing all his Vedic credit? What would you experience? Saying, come, come, uttering pleasing words such as, this is your well-earned virtuous path which leads to heaven, and offering him adoration with scintillating oblations carry the sacrificer along the rays of the sun. So they actually think that there's personified, there are divine beings who will appear before the dead person and say, come, come, ehi means come, come. It's all set, you're all set now. We'll show you, this is the path to heaven, and here is, you will dwell in heaven, and it'll be, you're going to have a wonderful time of it. They'll give you the keys to heaven and show you and praise you for being such a ritual, such a good, pious person all your life. And so it's all very great. I'm reminded of a story. We had this Swami Nishreyashanandaji long before my time. I never saw him. He is the one, he was a disciple of Swami Shivananda, and he established the Vedanta work in South Africa. This was long before the independence of India. But I know Swamis who have met this Swami, and he was by all accounts quite a remarkable Swami, Swami Nishreyashananda. He came to the United States also. One of the things about him was he explained Vedanta with wonderful stories. So this mantra, these things, this concept which we discussed today, he explained it thus. He said, the Swami said, when I go from South Africa to India, this was later on after the independence of India, I can fly, I purchase, I get the money and purchase a ticket from Durban from Durban, and then go to Mumbai, and by Air India. And when I come to the plane, there are these air hostesses, and they say, come, come, this is the wonderful seat that you have purchased. You can sit here, and these are the amenities. It will be, so very soon you are flying at 30,000 feet in the air, and it's cool and comfortable, and they're serving you with all sorts of nice foods, and there is a cinema. At that time, there used to be one big screen in the old aeroplanes, which you could see a movie on. Here is the movie which you have earned, and you have a wonderful time of it. And then he says, finally, what happens is you land in Mumbai, and the captain says so we have arrived at our destination, it's Mumbai. It is 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside and 100% humidity. And thank you for flying with Air India. We hope you'll fly with us again. And you want to say, no, I want to stay here. I don't want to go. I like it here. No, you can't. The same air hostesses who escorted you with such pleasing words and saying, come, come, this is your well-earned seat. They will say, you have to leave now, or else they're going to call security. You can come again, but you have to purchase the ticket. You have to earn money to purchase the ticket. Similarly, with the Vedic rituals, your lifelong devotions, at the point of death, there are these divine beings who come and escort you and say, they say literally, ehi, come here, come here. You pious one, you religious hero, this is the heaven that you have earned with all your lifelong devotions, and these are the facilities available here. But one day will come, and when you suddenly lose everything. And the devastating thing about living in heaven is this: because you don't age, because there are no physical problems, and there's no warning. You are having a great time, and then suddenly they tell you they're going to throw you out. You have run out of credit. You're going to go back and be born on earth again. So there are descriptions of the gods falling from heaven, crying, alas, alas, and they fall back to earth. So that is Vedic ritualism. And then from the next mantra onwards, criticism will begin, that this is not spiritual, and this is not going to solve anybody's problem. We must look further. We must look for the truth, which is the question which Shaunaka asked. He has been doing all these rituals, but he says, I don't know what's going on here. What's the truth about this world? Who am I? What is this world? How can I know the reality? Tell me the one thing by which I can know everything here. That will be the higher knowledge, which we shall see in the next class. So we're going to wrap up for our summer break. So I'll be traveling extensively, giving talks in different parts of the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Singapore, and come back in about 2.5 months. All right, let's look at the questions and comments. Abhijit says, could you suggest which documents the history and transition of Hinduism from Vedic rituals to current state of ritualistic practices? No, I don't know if I know a particular book. I'm sure there are books. So this is a big topic, but I really haven't read anything. Rick says, isn't sattva less binding, less opaque than tamas? Absolutely. Why would Shankara and others recommend various methods to cultivate purity as preparation for being capable of Brahma Vidya? Absolutely. Gita also says that in order to be fit for Brahma Vidya, it's much better to be sattvic rather than predominantly rajasic or tamasic. Tamasic will not allow you any spiritual progress. Rajasic will allow you, it's dynamic, but it'll keep disturbing you and distracting you. Sattvic, dhriti utsaha samanvita, Gita, Krishna says, the seeker is endowed with consistent effort, the ability to hold on to a high pursuit for a long time, and enthusiastically. There are people who are enthusiastic. What happens is they take up one good thing after another, one nice book after another, one nice practice after another, never following anything through. And there are more and more of such people. So it's enthusiasm, but that will not yield high results. You must hold on. There are people who can hold on, but unenthusiastically. They're the most depressing people around. They can mechanically slog all their life, but they don't put any heart into it. As the Upanishad itself said, if you do it without any heart, even the rituals also won't work, let alone spiritual life, bhakti or yoga. So consistency and enthusiasm, joyfully. I've seen this. I told you this earlier. We all come to be monks, and when we go for training, all of this batch of young men who have come to be monks, they're all spiritual seekers. But then why are they different? It's because of the different mix of sattva, rajas, and tamas in each of us. There are some, I have seen in every batch, there are some who joyfully get up at 3:40 a.m. in the morning, 3:30. They're awake before everybody else. I used to see some of my roommates, and we were novices. I would sleep to the last possible moment, which is 3:40 a.m., and then get up. And I would sometimes see my roommate gone. He's already got up, he has taken a bath and gone to the temple to meditate at maybe 2:30 or 3 or something like that. So they joyfully get up early in the morning. They joyfully meditate. It's not a struggle for them. They love the studies, the Vedantic studies. It's not boring or too difficult or dry for them. They love serving others. They're happy to take on as much work as you want to give them. They feel they're worshipping the Lord through any possible work. They always do more than they're asked to do. And they are very happy with the devotional practices, the evening arati and the puja. They find they find the whole thing very uplifting. So that's a sattvic nature. You see, wouldn't all monks be like that? Not necessarily. There are rajasic who might be very happy if you get them a lot of work, clean the entire floor, serve 100 monks with food. Great, they're up and doing. Come to class, a big yawn. You see, the result is a big yawn. Now, that's a rajasic mindset. And then there's a tamasic mindset. Although they want to be spiritual, but the constitution is such that it's a drag. Getting up early in the morning is too difficult. Meditation makes me sleepy. Studies make me bored. And my devotional practices are all mechanical. And serving others, why should I do more? It's not my duty. Why should I do it? No. So that is a tamasic mindset. Now, Krishna says there, in the Gita, we will see later on. So suppose I'll be honest, I have a tamasic or rajasic, a mix of rajasic and tamasic, and very little sattvic. We all have sattvic mindset to some extent, otherwise we would not be interested in spiritual life. So we all have it to some extent. Now the thing is, Krishna says there is no need to be disappointed or feel that I can't be spiritual. Not at all. Everybody can be spiritual and should be spiritual. Only thing is the struggle is more. If you're lucky to be endowed, lucky means you have put in the struggle in past lives. So lucky to be endowed with a sattvic mindset, spiritual life will be much easier for you, smooth and fast. For the rest of us, it won't be. I remember this young novice. We had a very great Swami as our, at the head of the ashram when we became monks. So I still remember, it's quite poignant. This young man, the Swami heard his background and everything and then said, your life as a monk will be a life of suffering and struggle. And then he said, it's an ornament. There's nothing wrong in it. Suffering and struggle is an ornament for monastic life. So there's nothing to be disappointed in that. So, which means even if I'm not suited to the spiritual life, I see very soon, and somebody else is much better at it than I am. Doesn't matter. I must hold on. And as the Bible says, this is a very strange game indeed, in which the first shall be last and the last shall be first. You try, and maybe you're not progressing, and you end up becoming, you get a vision of God, you become, or enlightenment, or the realization of the self. Something happens, something very dramatic, something very high, entirely possible. Whereas the other person, whom you saw to be a much better spiritual seeker early in life, 20, 30 years ago, is still more or less the same, still a good person, but slogging along, quite bereft of those dramatic insights and revelations you have been graced with. So you never know. We were reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna that day, and Sri Ramakrishna, in a very blunt and dramatic way, he said, I was reading that, what did he say? He said that you never know who will win in this, in the spiritual path. Win means it's all in the hands of God. And then he gave a very, very blunt example. The other day, I saw a prostitute pass away in the Ganga, touching the Ganga in full consciousness, repeating the name of Hari, or the name of God. Now, it's a very dramatic example. So passing away in full consciousness, in God consciousness, that shows a very high level of spiritual attainment. And yet he says she was a streetwalker. So what it means is, it's entirely up to God, not up to our personal endeavors. However, having said that, personal endeavor is absolutely a must. It shows that we want it. Then Sri Ram says, like Lord Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita mentions Karma Kanda portion of the Upanishads only to dismiss it. Are we studying the Karma Kanda to avoid them, or no, we are not even studying the Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda is a vast, vast subject. Those who are masters of Purva Mimamsa, they know some of this. It's a vast area. Vast means, you think Vedanta is vast and complicated. Just you wait, you try to see what Vedic ritualism was. It's much more complicated, much more detailed, much more ornate, vast. The literature is also extensive. We are not studying it at all. We just, because it's the Vedic context, we have to know what all that was and why we are not going down that path. Do the worship, Sankirtan, etc., have a legitimate, useful, indispensable place in journey to liberation? Yes. So when you're talking about Sankirtan and worship, ritualistic worship, singing the praises of God, we do all that. But remember, the difference is this: doing that ritualism with worldly and otherworldly goals, that is Karma Kanda. Doing the same rituals with the goal of purifying ourselves and attaining God realization, that's very much the higher religion. So nothing that we do here, for example, in the Vedanta Society, nothing that we do here is actually Karma Kanda. It is all the knowledge portion. Even the puja that we do, even the rituals that we perform, the chanting that we do, the arati that we do, all of it is Vedanta. Swami Ashokanji said, it is the rituals that we do are concretized philosophy, or concrete philosophy. The Vedanta which we are reading here, that has been put in certain forms, and we are doing it for the same purpose. We are studying Vedanta for enlightenment. We are doing the ritual, the puja of Sri Ramakrishna here, or in all the temples. Any spiritual seeker, when they do the puja, they're doing it for enlightenment. not to go to heaven or to get money or something like that. So the same rituals, in many cases, the same Agnihotra can purify your mind. The same rituals which people do for worldly goals can and do purify our mind. The puja that we do here, you will see it's basically the same Hindu puja offered to deities anywhere. But if it's done with a pure mind for God realization, it's a part of your spiritual practice, not a worldly practice. Amira says, if we are in the pursuit of materialistic success, wealth, etc., and become aware of Brahma Gyan, how is it possible to continue work with the same intensity? It isn't. If we do, feeling that it is pointless or guilt will arise. The Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives this knowledge to a householder and expresses confusion. Could you please advise on this? Yes. So as I said earlier, worldly goals are not a sin. It's not wrong to want children or money or success. Not even wrong to use religion for that. You can pray to God, perform the rituals to have things go your way in the worldly sense, or even heavenly sense, or otherworldly sense. However, the whole point is to see through the limitations of that pursuit and see very soon, even if you get what you want, you will not be satisfied. If a certain maturity must come, you cannot remain satisfied with the toys of your childhood all your life. At one time it's appropriate, but when you're older, it's no longer appropriate. So if you feel that I don't desperately want that promotion, that money, that degree anymore. I mean, they're good, but they're not really my goal anymore. That intensity, people say it has gone down. Good. It should go down. The intensity in worldly pursuit should go down. I see young people, they come to Manhattan, the fast life in New York, and they work all. It is a city that never sleeps. So work all week long and party hard all weekend long. And so there's nothing wrong in that. But very soon the intelligent person should see through it, that this is what it does and no further, this much and no further. If you don't get out of it, that trap, time is going by. A precious life is being spent. The sooner you see through it, the sooner the intensity of our worldly drives and desires, the intensity goes down. That's really good. Now intensify your spiritual pursuit. Krishna engaged Arjuna in the same battlefield, same work, but for the entirely different goal. That work now becomes karma yoga. Earlier, it was a worldly pursuit. Arjuna wanted revenge against the evildoers, wanted a kingdom which was rightfully his and his brothers, and so on. All of that goes out of the window when Arjuna says, I don't want to fight this battle. So all worldly goals are thrown out. But still, the spiritual goal is there, God realization, and work in the world. So if you have made up your mind to be spiritual, are you going to abandon your family? Are you going to resign from your job? Don't do it. That's not the advice of Vedanta. Spiritualize, make karma into karma yoga. Sangeeta says, Karma Kanda significance, rituals add structure and purpose to the lives of people. They make them live responsibly, reminding them of the need to live according to the ideals of Hindu Dharma and think about themselves beyond this life. Inspiration for rituals, Hindu rituals, comes from God himself. Rig Veda states, in the beginning of the creation, cosmic being Purusha performed a great sacrifice to create the world and beings. Correct. So there is a purpose. If you're going to live for worldly goals and other worldly goals, there's a way of doing it. And there is a wise, sustainable way of doing, which is good for yourself, good for the family, and good for the society. So the rituals are part of that. Life of Vedic ritualism, I have not seen too much of it closely, but there are people, monks in our order, who have come from such families. And they said our grandparents and all who followed that kind of a life, they led most austere and simple lives, very, very ritualistic householder life, but very saintly lives. Such a person, like Shaunaka, who is seriously sincerely performs these rituals, when he or she turns towards the knowledge portion, towards enlightenment, they will do it much better than the others. Sri Ram says, what kind of karma kanda, upasana kanda practices facilitates the process of krama mukti, liberation after death, or is this a misunderstanding? No, Upasana, Karmakanda, all of them can facilitate enlightenment after death, a Krama Mukti release, only if there's no desire. So if you perform these meditations, Vedic meditations, but you still don't want moksha, you will not get moksha unless you want it. If you want, otherwise what will happen is you can even go to what is called Satya Loka or Brahma Loka and come back from there again. Yeah. He said, Swami Shivananda told the widower Gangacharan Mukherjee that his wife was in Shiva Loka. Is Shiva Loka or Brahma Loka the last stop for the bhakta? Yes, it is, directly. Last stop for the bhakta. The bhakta might not want to go anywhere from there, might want to remain forever in the presence of God, and that's liberation also. And today we talk about Ramakrishna Loka. The devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, they want to go to Ramakrishna Loka. It's all the same Brahma Loka, the highest, it's a spiritual heaven. They don't want oneness. Sri Ramakrishna put it this way. Spiritual seekers, they either want to be sugar or they want to taste sugar. So the Jnani wants to be sugar, become one with, or realize that he or she is one with the absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. And that is what is going to be taught here, how to be sugar. But the devotee doesn't want to be sugar. Devotee would want to taste sugar. I would still retain my individuality and enjoy God. So that's the path of the devotee. Rick says, so based upon your answer above, the gold chains analogy doesn't quite hold up. It does. You can replace the iron chains with the gold chains, but you have to get rid of the gold chains also inevitably. Raka says, do the paths of Bhakti Yoga and Raja Yoga both come from the Upasana aspect of the Vedic rituals? It's a very good question. We talk about the 4 yogas, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. But then look at the structure of the Vedas. Karma, Upasana, Jnana, rituals, meditation, knowledge. Now, if you try to fit the 4 yogas into this structure, you can do it easily. The karma portion of the Vedas, when they are done without any desire, or they are done with a desire for enlightenment, not for worldly things, it becomes karma yoga. The upasana portion of the Vedas, when they are done without the meditation portion, when they're done without any kind of worldly or otherworldly desires, that has connotations of both meditation and devotion. You see, the Sanskrit word upasana, the way we use it in Indian languages, upasana literally means worship, mental activity, but also heart. So focusing the mind is part of worship, but also feeling is part of worship, upasana. In India, it's in fact a common name for girls also, upasana. So worship. Worship has both Raja Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. And the knowledge portion, of course, is the Jnana Yoga. Ishwar Kusuri says, can we get Zoom links? The summer lectures, if you are interested, please go to the Vedanta Society website and you will see Swami's summer schedule there. But be warned, it's very much work in progress. As we receive more information from the organizers of these various retreats, it'll be updated. And you'll have to contact the local organizer. So we are not organizing it. I'm not organizing. I'm being invited by various organizations across the country and other countries. So you have to find out what are their terms for registration or attending and so on. And some of them, whether they'll be available on online, some of them will be. But again, that's there. It's the concern of the local organizer, not us. Very good. Take care and stay safe. Let me do a peace chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.